What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover original show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
It's time to level up with Dr. Mondo.
Vover!
What is good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Dr. Mondo. I'm your host, CEO and founder, Cheat Code, concierge, mental health doctor to professional athletes, executives, musicians, entertainers. And this is a podcast where we talk about the often untold stories of mental health struggles. And in the process, we hope that we're encouraging you to realize that part of the journey of success often includes encountering tough moments, encountering challenges. A lot of those challenges are internal, which means they can often be hidden. We have a culture that for so long has encouraged us to hide our struggles. And as a result, so many of us suffer in silence. We suffer alone. We talk and celebrate the victories that we're having in culture and society. It seems like a shift is happening where more and more people can share their struggles. And so this is a place, a community where we come and you're able to talk about what it is that you've experienced that may have gone untold. And we have guests on usually, just about every week that have had incredible success in different ventures. Thought leaders, musicians, entertainers, athletes. But they've experienced their struggles just like you probably have experienced yours. And so today, we take a moment to record a podcast here from the epicenter of where people come for greatness, and that's Los Angeles. You may hear some interesting sounds outside here as I record this podcast. I'm here from Los Angeles, the heart of downtown LA, out here to spend some time with some athletes and do some work. And the topic is so appropriate, though, for the venue that we're in, because the topic is greatness. It's interesting. One of the first things I hear from people when they find out that I work with athletes and executives and entertainers is they say, okay, what separates the good from the great? What does it take to be great? And I can tell you that's something that this series and what we're going to start today, the psychology of greatness, which will be an installment series, and today is installment number 1 as we talk about belief. I'll tell you, I never really would have thought of it if it weren't for that question coming up so much about greatness and what does it take to be great. And there's these variables that I've looked at, and the first variable we're going to talk about today is belief. And this breakdown of installments that we're going to do of the psychology of greatness, there's going to be 6 of them. And in those 6, we're going to focus on one particular topic. And I'm going to tell you why I believe so adamantly that it's a variable linked to greatness psychologically. I see it in the people I've worked with, the people I've studied. But then also, too, we're going to give you some tangible takeaways to what you can do to implement this particular variable in your life and unlock it. The first key to greatness that I wanted to start with is belief. Belief. Oftentimes, when we think of belief, we think of faith. We think of confidence. We think of envisioning the future. We think of people that are hardworking. They take the belief and then they work really hard and they manifest. The psychology of greatness. Who are the greats? Kobe Bryant, great. Michael Jordan, great. Jay-Z, great. Now, there are tons of greats that you could probably name that I just didn't. But when you think of anyone that's great at what they do, these are the variables that you'll watch in this six-part installment that they really focus on. Belief is something that I can tell you from every athlete I've sat with. from conversations with Mookie Betts, Lindsey Vonn, Chris Godwin, there's this one thing that I see more than often than not, and it's the sense of belief. A sense of belief in self. A sense of belief in what they are capable of. And you look at them from an outside and go, okay, yeah, if I had that talent to ski or hit a baseball or, any of those things, I would have that belief too, right? But I want to really challenge you to not make such lazy assumptions. Because often we think belief is either something that you're born with or you don't have it. I believe you can cultivate belief. I believe that a lot of you actually have had moments in your life, and I'm going to encourage you to think about them this week, moments where you really truly believed that you were doing something that you were good at, you were doing something, dare I say, you were born to do. And it's those moments that people that are great, it's those moments that those people are practicing literally every day, mostly subconsciously, until they enter work with someone like myself, and then we help make it conscious so that every day they're not practicing and memorizing a mantra in their frontal lobe of their brain. Instead, they're tapping into a core belief that I believe comes from the gut. I believe it comes from the gut, and I believe it's a place where there's a true sense of knowing. I think belief comes from knowing. And I think that knowing originates from our gut. A lot of research has come out now about over 90% of the neurotransmitters that impact our mood exist in the gut. Native Americans once said that there are 3 brains, one in the gut, the second's in the heart, the third's in the mind. Use them in that order. The problem in the West, it is said, is that we often disconnect ourselves from the first brain, the gut, operate not from the second brain, the heart, but instead from the third brain, exclusively. Belief is something that you know. Belief is something not that you have analyzed to develop a sense of knowing. Belief is something that you know. There was something inside of Michael Jordan that said, regardless of getting cut from his freshman basketball team, that there was a belief that said, I know I belong. What is the belief that you have inside of you that will tap into your greatness? Now, I'm not a participation trophy for everyone kind of guy. I love competition. I'm not here to give you some message like, hey man, we're all great. You're just as great as MJ. No. This is a 6-part series for a reason. We're going to have to break down these specific variables. But I believe that everyone has something inside them that's begging to come out. I believe we all have a purpose, a calling, a reason why we are here. And as a result of that, you tapping into that will offer the distinction between you capitalizing and living out your potential or living a life where you wake up and it's kind of ho-hum. We all have the ability to be great. I believe we know what we are great at inside. Often we are afraid, we are terrified, in fact, to encounter it because of the implications that it might cost us, because of what it might mean in terms of how we reorganize our life, in terms of what chances we may have to take, in terms of what risks we may expose ourselves to. We put ourselves in positions oftentimes to protect ourselves from fear of failure, fear of putting ourselves out there, fear of rejection. I get it, but listen. We all have greatness inside of us. And at one point you knew it. What would happen if you operated from that greatness today? Greatness in the thing that you're called to do. Elite level athletes, musicians, entertainers, executives, they have the ability to tap into that knowing and operate from it with confidence. Even if no one else co-signs on their greatness, they have confidence that they belong. Even if no one else sees what they have inside, they have confidence to believe they have what it takes. What is it today that you have inside of you that you are not listening to? If you want to be great, Be prepared to tap into what you know at your core. Now, what happens when we struggle? What happens when you're an elite athlete and you've hit a mark in your career that you're not happy with? It's that belief that carries you through. It's that insatiable desire to see what you know is true come to fruition. I was telling someone that they said, I worked on visualization for so long before I worked with you, and this is different, right? The things we're doing in brain spotting, cheat code culture, and process. You're 100% it's right, because we're tapping into a region of the brain that is connected to your deep subconscious memories. Somewhere in your subconscious, there is memory. There's recorded record, even if it was when you were a kid doing that thing you knew you were born to do. There's recorded memory that you can tap into. That's a felt sense, a knowing that supersedes language. It's a belief that you are born to do what it is that you knew at that moment you were born to do. And that if you lived in that moment, not only would you be happy, fulfilled, but you would achieve something great. Greatness exists in all of us. It's just a matter of tapping into it. There's a difference between manifesting greatness through visualization. There's a difference between actually tapping into a sense of knowing and operating from that. The psychology of greatness in part 1 in belief is tapping into what it is that you know to be true, that deep core sense, and operating from it. When you break down the psychology of the greatest of all time, regardless of what craft, what practice, they all have an uncanny ability to operate not from a sense in their frontal lobe of their brain, but from a deep core sense that they are born to do exactly what it is that they plan on doing. That's variable 1. That's step 1, tapping into your belief in order to be great. You can follow me at Dr. Mondo, DRMONDO, and at Cheat Code, like video game cheat code on Instagram. Make sure that you subscribe to Vover and this podcast. Next time, we'll tap into part 2 of the psychology of greatness. That's one you don't want to miss, because we're going to talk about the thing that we all can control. Maybe some of you say, I can't control the belief, the deep knowing that I have inside. It's hard for me to tap into. Here's one thing you can do. It's called grind. The greatest of all time, part of their psychology is a mentality of grind. I'll tell you on the next episode how to cultivate that. Make sure you subscribe and tune in next time. It's time to level up with Dr. Mondo.
Vover.